The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome in to the latest edition of Crossed Flags. I'm Steve West, Matt Nicholson along with me. In the background, you got producer John and producer Molly helping us out as well. Thank you for joining us right in the middle of Speed Weeks here in Alabama. Last weekend at Talladega, we'll be talking a lot about that here in this particular episode. This coming weekend, we're going to be at Barber Motorsports Park because it's Indycar weekend. So that means no big show on Saturday. If you're brand new to us and you're just coming into the podcast, we do a 2-hour-long show on CRN Live on Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Time. But we're not going to be doing that this weekend because PA duty calls, and we're not going to be able to do both. So we're on a 2-week hiatus on that show, but the podcast is here. 3 things that we really want to talk about coming up later on in the show. We're going to turn things over to Matt. He's going to have the table or the booth or whatever it is that you want to call it, the stage to himself, because he was roaming around Talladega SuperSpeedway this past weekend, came across a guy who's a driver in another series, but he happened to be at Talladega. We'll tell you why he was there and some other intriguing stuff coming up. We'll also talk about the end of the Xfinity Series race. Cup Series race, actually, we'll mention it, but the bigger news came from the Xfinity Series, so we'll get into talking about that. And then there's Talladega and the situation where I am the Tower PA announcer at that track. If you're new to the show, you may not know this. I have been since the 2007 season. And I've been blessed enough to be able to do every single race at that track since the 2007 season. It's been great. Over the time that I've been there, to be able to go into certain areas that I need to be able to go into, and Matt can attest to this because he's done the same thing, you have to have credentials with permissions. And that has evolved over time. And producer John's about to show you what it looks like. This is about a credit card sized looking piece of plastic, and it has 2025 and it's got the A on it, which is significant to a certain thing. It's got my name and it says what I do on the bottom of it. So all of that stuff is there, and all those little stickers that you see are all the areas that I can go into. VL means Victory Lane, MC means Media Center, TGE means Talladega Garage Experience. For those of you that see it, that means Big Bills. Okay. There's other places that I can go into that this particular thing allows me to. Now, producer John is covering up one particular area of this for a reason. Again, I've been there since 2007. A lot of people know me, and it's actually a good thing that they do, because for whatever reason, when they decided to give me this particular credential, this particular time, the person who's on my credential, I don't know. I have no idea who that is. Now, this is 2025, so this is 18 years of me going to Talladega every single race. I've never met this guy. I don't know who this guy is. And I have to admit, I'm a little curious as to if he got my picture. This is a very weird situation. I'm not 100% certain who it is that was in charge of putting these pictures on those cards. Missed. Big time.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
an understatement.
It's like Bob Uecker in Major League going just a bit outside as the ball goes to the backstop.
Just a bit outside. Yep.
So, yeah, I figured we'd start off with a little bit of a fun situation. And you can see I've got this cabinet right behind me here. It is in this door, actually, right here, that I have most every credential that I have ever gotten from Talladega or Barber or the other tracks that we have been to, whether we worked at them or just went there. This is the first for me. I've never seen this kind of a mistake in my time of getting race credentials. Matt?
It's a big one.
Okay. As
That's
long
a pretty
as
big one right there.
as long as it's new for you too, that's the important part. I'm just double checking on
Yep,
that.
that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, I kind of blew my mind.
I just know at least the day that I had mine made, they had it right there ready to go, and the picture I knew was me because I had on the same color shirt.
Yeah,
So I knew it was me.
yeah. Hey, I've been there myself. I know they printed it out right in front of me and gotten it right. How they missed it on this one, I don't know, but I did alert our immediate supervisor, Jenna. She's been great for us from the time that she has been our immediate supervisor. She apparently didn't realize it on this particular one, so she got a laugh out of it when I alerted her to it. So next time around, I'll make sure. Again, the good thing is, even with that picture, I was able to get into the places that I needed to get into, and a lot of that is due to the fact that, yeah, you've been there a while. People get to recognizing you and go, yep, he's good, don't worry about it. So thankfully that happened this weekend. All right, let's get into some more serious talk, and this goes back to that favorite punching bag of ours. Who the heck is in control of the caution flag situation up in race control? Let's take you to the end, and I mean literally the end of the Xfinity Series race at Talladega SuperSpeedway last Saturday. And Connor Zilisch is out front. Hotshot young kid. This kid, I will be surprised if he doesn't get many wins. He might even get a championship before he gets called up to the Cup Series, if they keep him in the Xfinity Series long enough, because he is a talented kid. A little bit raw, but he's talented. Agree or disagree, Matt?
No, I agree. I mean, he to be really only his third super speedway race that he's competed in at this level, counting the truck race last fall, Daytona this year, Talladega this past weekend, he held his own quite well.
Yeah.
Granted, he's in a powerhouse super speedway organization, but
Doesn't
still,
hurt.
he held his ground well.
Yeah, doesn't hurt at all. So they're coming around to take the white flag lap. They take the white flag. And this means, for those of you that have forgotten or are relatively new to the rules situation, in NASCAR, once the field takes the white flag, regardless of what flag it is, the race ends. And really, there are only two flags that you're going to have to worry about at this point in time. You're either going to get the white flag and the next flag you see is the checkered flag, or the next flag you see is a caution flag. Now, remind the ladies and gentlemen who are happening to be viewing this, Matt, how long is Talladega Superspeedway in a lap?
That would be in mileage, that would be 2.66 miles. And on an average at speed lap that they were going at, figure mid to low 49-second range.
Okay. So the better part of a minute. 45 seconds easy, right?
Oh, yeah, with ease.
Okay. Matt, producer John's about to bring up this picture.
Yep.
And, well, it's actually a series of pictures. And this depicts when the caution was shown to the field on the last lap of the Xfinity Series race at Talladega Superspeedway on Saturday. Now, in these pictures, you're seeing the field. You're not seeing the reason for the caution. The reason for the caution was because Connor Zilisch got turned. And it wasn't really, there was nothing malicious about it, okay? This will happen at a super speedway from time to time. You'll get the car either pushing or the car in front that happens to be at a bad angle at the bad time when the bumper gets tapped. Boom, gone. Okay? So we're not blaming Connor Zilisch. We're actually not placing the blame on anybody here. This was a pure super speedway incident. But they're going at full song down the Alabama Gang super stretch. These pictures that you see here are going into turn 3. If you look real closely at the bottom right-hand corner, you can kind of see up there just above the field on the wall, that says Alabama Gang super stretch. That is the back stretch at Talladega. Okay, so just to make sure, in case you didn't recognize it, they're going into turn 3, which means they've done, would you call it 2/3 or 3/4 of a lap?
Based off of how the start finish line sets at Talladega respectively, That, honestly, to me, is just a little bit over a half lap.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. You got a point there. Okay. So we'll call it 50%. But 50% of 2.66 miles is still 1.33 miles, give or take. Okay. Connor Zilisch is
the length of Darlington is what the length of Darlington is what they had left.
There you go. Connor Zilisch, if you're looking at the picture in the bottom right-hand corner, he is way off to the side. And he is going to nose into the wall. And that's not the first time we've seen a hit like that. And it can be a fairly serious hit. Thank God for the safer barriers that NASCAR has mandated for all their tracks, because that does soften the blow. But it's still a blow because you're going, let's assume he even locked up the tires and that slowed him down, but he's still probably doing the better part of what, 140, 150?
Give or take, yeah.
Okay.
Give or take.
That's still a pretty good hit that he's going to take in this situation. This caution, and the reason we go right here at this particular time, is this is, to the best of NASCAR's guesstimation, based upon video evidence from several different video cameras that are set up around the track. This is their best time that shows exactly when the yellow lights started flashing, and that causes the race to end, right? Keeping that in mind, and the fact that Connor Zilisch walked away, probably still sore from what happened, but he was okay. They now have to make the determination of exactly who the winner is. I don't know about you, but it does kind of look like the 27's out in front to me. And that would make Jeb Burton the winner. But they determined, in NASCAR's wise way of doing whatever it is that they did, that the 21 of Austin Hill was actually the winner. Okay.
There is no way humanly possible that with those three angles, the leader cam and the top photo, are the same angle picture.
No.
That angle is coming from almost looking, it's hard to say the angle. It's looking at an angle from almost turn 1 to turn 3, and that similarity of a peripheral. Let's use that word.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
The bottom right-hand corner is the turn 3 camera coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
How can there be a logical determination off of camera angle and camera view there alone? How can it be conclusive enough to know that the 21 car is your winner? If I'm looking at if I am Eric Peterson, the Xfinity Series director,
mm-hmm.
if I'm looking at these camera angles, especially the camera angle number 1 in your bottom left-hand corner, which is the same one, that in my eyes is virtually at worst a dead heat.
Agreed.
The bottom angle 3 is irrelevant, because how can you determine who is legitimately ahead when all cars are at the same angle?
Here's even the more egregious part of it to me. Again, I understand it. Connor Zilisch and a pretty good hit. But as we noted, 2.66 miles. At minimum, they've gone a half a lap. So that means 1.33 miles yet to go. And to get back around to that spot, another 1.33 miles. Okay. Why are we throwing a caution here? Now, if this happened going into turn 1, I get it. That I fully understand, because of as hard a hit as Connor Zilich's car took, you want to give the safety crew plenty of time to get out there and plenty of room to do their work.
Where his car came to a stop at is the gate access. It's called the gate access for crew 3, which mans turn 3.
Right.
Every single one of them were within within 50 yards of where that car stopped.
I was going to say 50 feet, but okay, we'll go 50 yards.
Within 50 yards, give or take.
Still, 50 yards, 50 feet, doesn't matter. They are within half a football field of where Connor Zilich's car comes to a stop. Now, you and I have been to races enough, and motorsports fans know this. Once you hit the start-finish line and the checkered flag is shown, they all back off the accelerator and start coasting. And by the time they get around to that particular part of the track, again, 1.33 miles, give or take later, they're not doing 180 plus miles per hour. They might be doing 100, maybe. And at that point in time, they're all under control.
I would say less. I'd say they'd be less.
Yeah, probably less than that, true. But I'm saying
at a
top,
safe speed,
100 miles an hour.
Let's call it safe speed.
Yeah, they're doing much more safe speed. They're certainly in control of each other. And they're not in a position where they're beating and banging on each other anymore. You know, if one driver is ticked off at another driver enough to do a cold trickle at the end of Days of Thunder, where he ends up getting fired off of the team that gave him his shot, okay, that's already been done. That's happened. That happened in turns 1 and 2. It's not happening by the end of the back straightaway. It's just not going to happen that way. So why in the world? The
bad part about this.
I'm sorry. Let me finish here. Why in the world are we throwing that caution here? And even worse than that, you were in a better position to recognize this than even I was, because I didn't have a really good shot to see when the lights show up that alert the drivers, caution's there. And again, it's not when the flag is flying. It's when the lights on the different monitors all the way around the track light up yellow, which again alerts the drivers, we're under caution, and now it's, in this case, official. I was not in a position to see when I was not in a position to see when that yellow light hit. You did, and you noticed something. Tell me about it.
Now, the pit road entry light is synchronized with the caution lights around the track. They have the ability to switch the pit road light from red to green. Any stops that need to be made for anybody. I was down on the photo tower during this specific race. He'll come around 3 and was going to pick him up at the exit of 4 and follow him all the way down the front stretch live. Out of my peripheral vision to my left, I could see clearly the pit road light. Clear, you can see if you got a certain angle out of your peripheral, probably I'm going to say a 45-degree angle, you can see that. Before the 88 car hit the wall on the inside, before he hit the wall, the light was on. Let me repeat myself. Yeah. Before he hit the wall, the light was on. Now, say Zilich does a yeoman's work, saves the car, never touches nothing. What have we got here now?
You've got a caution for no reason.
You got a caution for nothing on a lazy spin.
Yeah.
Hair trigger once again.
Yes. This is
our
major complaint.
Stop. Yeah.
This is our major complaint when it comes to NASCAR. Yeah, let it come to a stop. And the excuse, I guess, for lack of a better term, that NASCAR gave after the fact was, well, we wanted to make sure that we gave the safety crew plenty of time to get there. Doesn't float in this case. Because as you mentioned, he comes to a rest right there at the beginning of turn 3. He's less than half a football field away from a safety crew. They're not coming from all the way around, coming off a pit road. They're right there on the backstretch. It happened directly in front of them.
Yeah. It's just it's baffling because because that was, dare I say, that was going to be in the makings of a pretty good 3 wide finish, if not 4.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because Anthony Alfredo was coming.
Yes, he was. With a big
So,
head of steam.
Huge run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
a shame that it had to end like that. I hate that it had to end like that. But this again goes back to what we were talking about. We need to have a situation where at each of these tracks, if an incident, and I don't care how minor or how major it is, that says if an accident happens from here on or back, on around, all the way back to the start finish line, wherever that here may be at any particular track, and it would vary from track to track.
right.
But if an incident happens from this point to the start finish line, we're not throwing a caution.
Bring back the overtime line.
Yeah.
That will fix it. Bring back the overtime line.
If it happens from here or past it, we don't throw a caution. We put our hands in our pockets unless it involves the leader. If it involves the people out at the front.
You only bring them back for 1.5 mile ovals or larger. You leave them off of short tracks. You leave them off of road courses.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can agree with both of those. It baffles me. They continue to say that it's for the safety of the driver. Connor Zilisch is already going, man. That car is off. It is out of control. If he can get it back under control, great. But there's nothing he can do at this point in time once that car has been turned on the backstretch of Talladega Superspeedway. There's very, very little he can do. The field, on the other hand, is not affected by this at all. This is a single car, nothing else spin. That's it. I don't understand why they threw the caution. I will never understand why they threw the caution in that particular case, because it was 110% unnecessary. And feel free to tell me I'm wrong and tell me how I'm wrong, but I'm sorry, you're going to have a hard time explaining that to me.
It was really not warranted, if you ask me.
Yeah. And most of the people that I have talked to or I have heard from say effectively the same thing. It was unwarranted and unnecessary, and they should have been allowed to race back to the line. But NASCAR continues to have this hair trigger caution thing going. And again, I go back to this. I was out later than what I would have preferred to have been a couple of weeks ago, and happened to be listening to Sirius XM satellite radio just to find out what it was. They were running a race from Martinsville. You know, the little half-mile paperclip. In 1996, when Bobby Labonte got spun in turns 3 and 4, right in the middle of turns 3 and 4. He's spun out. And even the people from the Motor Racing Network at the time are stating, we're still under green. Bobby Labonte gets the car started and is rolling again. Nowadays, that's an automatic caution. And I can understand why it is an automatic caution, because, you know, if you get somebody that happens to overdrive the corner, you could easily T-bone a Bobby Labonte in that particular situation now. But back then, they let that go. But we can't let Connor Zilisch doing a single car spin at Talladega going into turn 3 on a 2.66 mile tri-oval. You can't let that go. What?
Two words. David Hoots.
Yeah. Who is somewhere just wondering what in the heck has happened.
That's a clean way of putting it.
Has happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it clean. Absolutely. You're correct. All right. So let's lighten things back up again here. You were not up with me in the PA booth. You were roaming around with photographer. Yeah, photographer. I'm a professional. I've been doing this for a long time. You got photographer credentials for this particular race, and you came across a picture of a lady who we all know pretty well, and were highly complimentary of her abilities to do things along pit road, which is where she was this weekend. Maybe not so much in her play-by-play race commentary, but Jamie Little is very, very good. And we're about to bring up that picture here. The gentleman next to her is a guy by the name of Jack Harvey. For NASCAR fans, or if you're NHRA fan, or any other series other than, say, IndyCar, Jack Harvey might not be a name that rings a bell to you. But if you know IndyCar, you know who Jack Harvey is. Well, you ran across these two, and you found out exactly why Jack Harvey was hanging around Jamie Little pretty much the entire weekend. Matt, stage is yours.
He was there as a guest of Fox Sports because he does pit road commentary for Fox Sports IndyCar broadcasts when he's not driving. We know he's going to be involved in the Indy 500 with Dreyer and Ronbo because he was at the test on Tuesday and Wednesday. The midweek test, I think it was Tuesday and Wednesday. And
so, yeah.
It was doing the shakedown of the cars and participating in that in the 24 car. And I happened to catch and look. I'm going like, who is this dude following her around? And I really couldn't place it or anything. And then Saturday morning during Cup qualifying, I looked and I seen AJ Allmendinger talking to him. I'm going, all right, AJ knows him. That's somebody. Don't know who. And then in between the ARCA race and the Xfinity race, I happened to scroll social media and look and seen that it was Jack Harvey. And I went, what is he doing here? Then that's when I found out that he was just shadowing with Jamie Little and following her around and, taking in the scope of Talladega because this is his first trip to Talladega. Mm-hmm. And we know how certain open wheel drivers can be when their first experience or first vision of the place. We know how that can go.
They tend to be awed by it. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that's more of those, oh, dear Lord moments kind of deal. Well, Sunday morning, they was doing a hit during pre-race. She was down beside Ryan Blaney's car. Well, I happened to look to my right, and he was standing over there on the backside of the car, out of the shot, and was talking to AJ Allmendinger again, and was talking to Dale Blaney, Dave Blaney's brother, which is, in my opinion, probably the better sprint car racer out of all of them. Dale was really good. Just chit-chatting and talking, and I'm like, yeah, that's him. And I overheard him tell Dale that, dear God, this place is crazy. He made the comment, Dale, he said, I saw things on the boulevard on Friday night, which everybody knows boulevard. All you got to do is say boulevard at that place, and you know what's going on.
Yes.
I saw things at the boulevard on Friday night that would make the snake pit at Indianapolis look tame.
I believe that. I'll tell you a little story here.
That was an eye-opener.
Sure.
Well, I worked my way up to the photo and
it's easy for you to say, I know.
There we go. Sorry, we lost it right there. Sorry.
Yeah.
But having to look up, and they was doing another pre-race hit from where Jamie McMurray, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, and Chris Myers were up there. I was going to get in position at and I call it just staging up and plant right. So I just thought, let's casually talk. So I struck up the conversation. I said, so how do you like the place? He just proceeded in his best. Man, this place is just absolutely unreal. Then he asked me, "You from around here?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I live about 10 miles down the road." I said, "I've been coming here for over 35 years since I was a kid." He's like, "Oh man, wow! I bet you've seen this place evolve well." I said, "I have." I said, "I'm just going to ask you a quick question here." I said, "If you were given the opportunity, would you?" And I stressed, I said, "In a solo form." I said, "Would you hot lap an Indycar around here?" He looked down. He looked from turn 4 down across to turn 1. I said, "What do you mean?" To a point. He said, "When my gut would tell me to lift, that's when I'm done." He said, "The speed here would be stupid." I said, "In the current setup of car right now," he said, "Yes, it would be stupid." He said, if you was to turn up full boost on the hybrid," he said, "Oh Lord." I said, I said, "Jack, your best determination as of somebody that just got out of the seat at Indianapolis. If you were to hot lap the car here in a solo form, full boost, full power, what do you think the car could legitimately hit?" He looked again, looked across the trial. He said, if the car did not hit 250, I'd be surprised." I said, 250. He said, "Yeah, 250. I said, "Wow."
Yeah.
He said, because how those cars have so much downforce, he said the car would be pinned so hard into the track. He said it would be stupid.
It'd be stuck.
I said, it'd be past stuck. He said,
Yeah.
I would be worried about a suspension part breaking.
That much
because
pressure.
the G-force would be so high.
Yeah.
I said, all right, hypothetical question here. I said, it's really two parts. I said, one, I said, considering you've driven both engine configurations within the last 2 years, I said, one, which one do you think would be the biggest top end speed? I said, two, I said, say there were 8 to 10 out here, with 8 to 10 cars out here, and you guys were actually able to draft. No sooner as I got the word able to draft out of my mouth, he chuckled. he said, whew. He said, first answer, he said, Chevrolet.
Okay.
He said, Chevrolet's got more top end speed than Honda does to me.
Interesting note.
I said, fair assumption.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but I said, running it, I said, kind of like the way the last real pack race was in 2011 when Dan got said, yeah, for Vegas. He said, if the cars were not pushing 265, I'd be surprised.
Youch. And now we know why IndyCar doesn't run at Talladega.
Now we know why IndyCar does not run there. Because he gave me an honest read from somebody that had literally just gotten out of the seat of one, not even 72 hours before that.
Yeah.
He gave me a true read.
And that's, it goes back to what we were talking about. AJ Foyt, who probably has more intestinal fortitude than any other man up to that point in IndyCar history. He takes a hot lap around Indianapolis, like, what was that, 40 years ago? Something like that, according to what we heard, or 30 years ago, I think. And he does one lap around the track, and he brings that car in, gets out of the car, and he's white as a sheet. When AJ Foyt is as white as a sheet, and we're talking multiple decades ago, you can only imagine what's happened since then and how much more that car has done. So as far as what Jack saw, came across this today, and I love the fact that Talladega social media does this. I don't know who's in charge of it, but they do a great job with this. Go on to official Talladega SuperSpeedway social media. I did it on Twix, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And they take pictures of some of the things that are left behind. I'm just going to mention two.
Yeah, left behind is good.
I'm just going to mention two. Number one was pretty much a full living room set. Somebody brought a sectional couch with an end table to the track and left it there. On the way other end of the spectrum, and this had to have been on Talladega Boulevard, and I really don't want to know what they did with it, but somebody brought and left a blow-up doll. We'll just leave that there. Do yourself a favor. Talladega Super S on Twix. Go through the pics. It's pretty funny and
Your
amazing.
imagination.
Yeah, it's pretty funny and amazing what people will leave at the track when they come, because they bring a lot of stuff, and it's some interesting stuff. There's no doubt about it. That's why we love Talladega. It's got a great personality. It's got a personality all its own. It's why Talladega is such a popular place to come out, camp in the infield. It's why people love to come and watch the racing there, because it's 2, 3, 4 wide, which we saw for real quick on Sunday during the Cup Series race. They went 4 wide. They went 4 wide again in stage number 2. The fact that we didn't have the big one at the end of the race, only 5 cars were out of the race. It's a testament to these gentlemen who are doing 190 to 200 miles per hour for 188 laps. Congratulations to them in somehow not getting into this massive pileup, which we have seen in the past, and the not too distant past, to be real honest.
Yep.
All right, so Barber Motorsports Park this weekend. We'll have plenty of stories coming out of Barber, I'm sure. Probably not necessarily the same kind as Talladega, but we'll have plenty of stories as well. And we'll bring you another edition of Crossed Flags about this time next week. Again, no big show, no CRN big show 2 hours long on this Saturday morning, but we are promising you it will return in a week and a half. So bear with us. Make sure that you subscribe down below. And it doesn't matter whether you're on CRN Live or whether you're on Jocks Live TV on YouTube. We appreciate it both. Heck, subscribe to them both, because there's a lot of good stuff that comes out of Jocks TV as well. So y'all have a fantastic time. My thanks to producer Molly. My thanks to producer John. My thanks to my co-host Matt Nicholson, who I will see this weekend at Barber Motorsports Park. And most of all, our thanks to you for checking us out here on the latest edition of Crossed Flags.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.